No, we're just cheering for you.
Cheering.
So like, I got this.
So you're not cheering for me.
Off you guys.
In order.
I don't need the people to cheer.
Exactly. You've done
So how do we? Like, how does one win this? Or is it not a competition?
Is it hard? Everything's
Least water drain.
So
Least water drain.
Okay.
What's the prize?
Coke
Bragging rights.
You can brag the rest of them if you want.
or a second plate. A second plate.
Oh, yeah.
Always
A second plate. Go on.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Do you want to be my dragon?
Sure.
Glock.
Skip over purchase.
Oh, try again.
Sure.
Shall we get started?
All right, guys. Thank you all for coming out. It's a great turnout. I'm sure you guys are excited to see your favorite data science professors eat some spicy wings. They are sacrificing their mouths today for this big event. So just a quick introduction. My name is Atharva, and this is Pravina. We're going to be co-hosting this event today. And this is from DS3, so if you're interested in data science, check out our events. And it seems that you're already here, so you know about us, so that's good. And we'll just let the professors introduce themselves. Marina, I can start with you.
Who doesn't know me?
Right. No introduction, I guess.
Alright, my name is Marina. How do you pronounce my last name?
Langlois.
Here we go. well trained, so I'm an instructor, usually for 20 and 30. You to teach 10 and 80 and sometimes 95 and 96. So you probably know me from 20 and 30 at this point.
Awesome. Thank you, Marina.
Hey everyone. I think I recognize everyone here.
Wow.
My name is Suraj, if you don't know me. I don't know if there's anything else to say, really.
What do you teach?
This quarter, DSC 10. Many of you took 40A or 80 with me, or 10. Or the capstone. I see some capstone students.
What else do you teach this quarter?
Oh yeah, DSC 95. Which I don't think anyone here is in. Yeah, that's about it.
Awesome.
Hi everyone, I'm Kyle Shannon. I'm from the Cog Sci department, but I work part-time as a data scientist in the real world, my own company. I also teach part-time. I usually teach Cogs 9, Cogs 8, working on Cogs 18 next year, and on the DSC capstone for anybody who wants to work with medical stuff and data. And then, yeah, just great to be here.
Okay, we can get started with the questions. We'll go inwards to upwards. So Marina first. Java or C++? And why?
Java. C++ is very close to Java because that was my first language that I learned, and you have mother tongue. I did not use C++ for many, many, many years, and if you don't use it, you lose it. I use Java all the time, so definitely Java at this point.
Awesome. First, and then answer the questions from your board.
Can I answer, and while they answer, I can eat?
I mean, if you want to eat, go for it. This is a roulette. Spice for all. So.
But we can tell which one's the spicy one.
We made
Not
the tricks here.
everyone can do that. Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I think the fact that Marina got her own carrots tells you all you need to know about her spice tolerance. That's all.
Let's start with this.
First one?
Do you have to make noises?
How was the spice?
There's a student.
Oh, I think you spilled the skin.
It's a convex optimization problem.
So, Suraj, as you mentioned before, and I think Kyle also mentioned, you're like you oversee our data science capstone program.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
So, given that it's spring now, right? There's going to be class graduating. Do you have any advice you would give to graduating seniors to be more successful in their paths of a data scientist?
Well, they already left, so they're not going to listen to it. Because most of them graduated anyways.
Watch the video.
They might.
We'll make them go back. You know?
Advice I would give to graduating seniors. I don't feel like I'm old enough to give advice like that.
Advice to advice.
Uh,
Or just any words of wisdom. Doesn't have to be fancy.
Don't be afraid to carve out your own path. Like, don't be a data scientist just because all your friends are doing it. Or don't be a software engineer just because all your friends are doing it. Like, do what you actually want to do.
Those are
That's what I would say.
big words from the big man himself. Yeah.
Can I add something?
Go ahead.
Don't forget about magic numbers. Make sure your code is readable.
As a follow to that, learn about non-printable characters and how they get introduced to CSVs from exporting in Excel.
Try red one.
And also, one piece of advice is do what you say you're going to do to the people that you tell you're going to do it to. A lot of people are very wishy-washy and they make promises, they don't follow through. And that's the kind of stuff that really affects you in a professional sense, because when you're going out into the real world, you're not just getting a job. Anybody here can go get a job. You go bag groceries, you get a job. But you're building a career. And when you build a career, there's this compounding effect. And you can think about what kind of professional you want to be and carry that through all of your interactions. It's really important. It's a small world, really small.
I see, I wouldn't have been able to come up with that.
So, have you've also, of course, worked in the industry, and I'm not sure if Marina and you, Suraj, have done as much as Kyle, but overall, how has it been, compared to teaching, and if so, which one do you like better?
Because I'm in an environment with a bunch of students, teaching is I really love teaching. It's always been a part of my career and what I've done. And I really like working with students. And the older you get, there's this feeling that it's less about you trying to focus on your own life goals, and you get much more satisfaction from helping other people fulfill their life goals. So that's a huge thing that I like. And being in a place like this, you meet so many interesting and cool people. But that's not to say, in the business world, you work on really interesting real-world problems that have, impact millions of people potentially, and there's a high that comes with that. So it's impossible to say which one I enjoy more. It's like, which side of the bed do I wake up on? It changes.
Nice. How's the spice so far? Anyone?
I mean, I had this.
I hope I need the spiciest one.
Okay.
It's not bad.
That was the spiciest one I said?
Yeah.
No, that's not.
No, like this one.
This one's the spiciest?
No, not that. That was not the tough. This one.
This one's the spiciest.
Yeah. Okay.
How do you know all this?
It's not my first rodeo.
How many times have you been to Dirty Bird?
Dirty Bird is not the main prize.
Okay, but you just know it.
Connoisseur. It's the spicy one, right?
Is that the habanero one? Or
It's whatever. Yeah, the orangey.
Yeah, the orange red one. Yeah.
Take this one. It's not that bad. It's really not.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going for it. No, please do.
Take it.
I was kidding.
It's not that bad.
I have my own.
But you don't have this one.
Good, I'm happy.
I think
Just take one bite. Just take it and take one bite.
so that's not fulfilling, but do it for your fellow students, right? Who's taking DC20 or 30 with Marina? Raise your hand. All right.
You're not taking it.
Fellow
You're not
students,
taking
right?
I'm not going to poison myself.
No, see, they
We have
went
exam tomorrow for training. If I'm not gonna feel good after that,
If we really wanted, okay.
Oh, I thought you.
I'm not gonna propose it,
Marina.
I was gonna say you just get them to start chanting. Eat it.
Eat it. Eat it.
I was
Eat
gonna
it.
say
it's not gonna help.
Eat it. No.
I have 9-year-old. If you think you can beat that, I know how to say no.
Yes, so Marina, back to you.
Yes.
Right, so as you guys all know, DC 20 and 30 are very coding and programming intensive courses, right? You're doing it all the time.
Yes.
And so now, especially with ChatGPT,
Yes.
one, what do you think about like students using it in class, especially for 20 and 30 to do coding assignments? And number two is that do you think it's beneficial for learning? You know, depending on what they're doing, if they're like solely using it just for to do homework, or maybe to more as a learning tool.
Here we go.
You think? Yeah. I expected that. I was driving. What is going to ask me? Number one, that's the question. You probably know what I'm going to say, right? Like, yeah, go for it. No, because as an example, I think this morning. Oh, here we go. Guess it is a sitting proof of my chat in our random channel in Data Science Study. When I asked ChatGPT to do something with odd numbers, I don't remember the query exactly. It was like 1 is not a prime number. Therefore, made some. Sorry, 1 is not odd number. Made some conclusion. 3 is odd number. Then another conclusion. So, and that was the list of numbers. 1 is not odd number. I started doubting myself, so I went to Google to check, well, is 1 actually odd? Did something change overnight? So that means if you trust what ChatGPT tells you, well, you are in trouble. So it should be used. I don't think why not. But if students, I think people in general, that's honestly my opinion, if you can guarantee you can do your job without it. So close this tab with ChatGPT. Can you finish it? Yes, it may take you 3 hours instead of 20 minutes, but can you do it? If you can, go back to the tab and use it as helper tool. Number two, you should be able to verify the answer. So it means you really have to know what is going on. What I see now in 20, a few students ask me on let's tell Marina, we checked one problem from the past exams. And we checked ChatGPT, asked why. This is the answer. I don't understand the answer. Could you please explain it to me? The answer was wrong. So they asked me, or our tutors, right, to explain answers from ChatGPT. Instead of asking tutors directly, this is a question from the exam, could you explain the solution? So this is the danger, that students use ChatGPT as their instructors and help now without them understanding if it's the right information or not. And another claim I've heard from a student when I ask him, or I don't ask her, why do you use it so much for 20 assignments especially? The answer was, I'm a visual learner. I need to see problems being solved for me. Which is absolutely valid statement. Why do you use homework as your visual, as you find other problems so ChatGPT can help you to visualize the solutions, and leave homework for practice, because once you see the solution, the ChatGPT took the creativity from you. And it means going to item number 1, you will not be able to solve the question without it. So that's the danger I see in 20 especially, that we don't build that foundation. The creativity is gone from students' minds. And then given real problems, something that doesn't take 2-3 lines, students will have much harder time to come up with their own solutions. So definitely I don't recommend it for 20. So for 30, again, same exact rule of thumb. If you know how to do it for sure, don't lie to yourself. Then I don't see why it's a bad idea to check something quickly. So writing assignments, that's the point of learning right now, is to have the foundation.
Yeah, I think it's very suspicious with math at best. I don't know if you guys have seen, but there was this video of a guy who convinced ChatGPT 2 + 2 is 5, and then they're like, yeah, 2 + 2 is 5. So math, it's not great.
Yeah, it's not reliable at all. So 1 is odd number. Maybe I should show it to my 20 students on Monday.
I feel like it's very good at giving us the wrong answer, but like proving its best point, and like
Yeah, it's
making,
very confident
like,
about
It's
it.
very
persuade
confident,
us.
yes.
Yeah.
I wasn't kidding. I went to Google to check if rule will change about odd numbers. What if something happens? And then it's very confident.
The first day of class this quarter and last quarter, I said, there's really no point of your parents paying all this tuition money for you to just come here and not actually do the assignment yourself. Like, you can use ChatGPT all you want, but then what are you coming here for? Why are you showing up to class? Like, what did you sign up to really do? The other thing I say is, like Wolfram Alpha has existed for 20 years, and you could do every question in Math 20A, but there's still a point of taking calculus classes, and it's to actually understand how it works, right? It's not just about getting the answer.
Going past the ChatGPT, so what for you, if you're given the power to change the world of data science, what would you do?
I think we're giving Suraj all the hard questions. We're not gonna-
Yeah.
What does that mean? Like you mean
interpret it the way you want.
change
Maybe
the
you
world?
would get rid of ChatGPT.
I don't know that it'd be that.
No question asked.
For some reason, my first interpretation was, what would you change about the data science major? But I don't think that's what you asked.
You could do that too. I'm sure we all want to know what you'd change.
I'll tell you, but you're not going to like it all.
No, to turn on the camera.
Yeah. I would require a lot more math in the upper division. Like I would require math 180A and 181A. I would require optimization.
I'm seeing some, let's move on
People
to
really
Kyle. Kyle, you've been quiet for a while, so.
Wisdom's about to come out.
Yeah. What is the best and worst thing a data scientist in the industry can do for their career?
For their, so like actions, well, I guess like the worst thing to do is commit a felony.
Maybe in terms of,
On the
what
job.
works first, yeah.
Well, a lot of that really depends on where you are in your data science career. If you're a new hire who's kind of at the data analyst level, or if you're like a senior data scientist kind of in charge of a project or some deliverable, or in charge of a client's suite of projects. But ultimately, what it boils down to is the best thing you can do is to try and fail quickly and not get put down into rabbit holes of exploration and losing focus on what the real question that you're trying to answer is. That can waste a lot of time, waste a lot of money, make you look foolish. So that goes back into really understanding what the problem is, what you're trying to solve. It really understands, or really bases that on you communicating with people in your organization, understanding what the goals are. And probably the best thing you can do is the flip side of that, and that's to really talk to people. A lot of people who join a data science or join a company, either a technical shop or like Google or something, or FANG companies, or it could just be even a place like Petco, which has a data science team, is thinking about your job as one-dimensional. I'm sitting down and I'm doing widgets on my computer, blah, 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 blah. What you need to do is you need to get out there and talk to people. If you're working on a marketing project, go to the marketing department. Bring one of them out for coffee, get to know them. Then go to their team meeting, their stand-up meeting. Find out what the hell they're doing. What is it that the marketing team is doing? What problems are they trying to solve? They're not going to tell you that. You've got to get that information from them and become an essential partner. That's really one of the best things you can do when you're on the job in industry with data science, is really understanding how the business works, how data flows in and out, who's in charge of what are the problems you were trying to work on, because that empowers you to be a force multiplier, which really is what a data science job is. It's not stamping widgets, one in, one out. It's you're working on things that have downstream effects. And the only way to really do that is to have an extremely good idea of what is going on in your environment. If you don't have that, then what are you doing there? And that's really something that you have to get, and you have to come up. I mean, it's hard for especially STEM students, a lot of them are very introverted. It's hard to kind of go out there and feel like you can talk to people. But in the real world, you're all trying to work on the same problems. So you have to be good at breaking down barriers and getting to know people and talk to them, be kind of the social butterfly of the organization, and put yourself in there. If not, you're always going to be behind the computer screen, and you're not going to really understand what needs to be done. So you're not going to map the technology components and the statistical and mathematical stuff to the problem domain that you have. That mapping is dependent upon you understanding the environment in which you're working in. So that's one answer to give you both the best and the worst that you can do in your industry.
All right, so what I'm hearing a lot is like fail quickly, bounce back quickly, and communicate.
Yeah, and it's okay to fail. I mean, the job of data science in a lot of ways, especially at the more introductory level, is there are going to be failures. But it's always good to never go to your boss saying, I failed. You go to them saying, I failed because of this, and these are the next steps I'm going to take to reroute to success. Never go to anybody with a problem without a semblance of a solution. Otherwise you're just like, well, okay, what the hell? Okay, we'll go fix it. Try and think about it as that, I mean, people forget, it's data science. Like, this is a scientist's job at the end of the day in a lot of ways. I mean, it's who the hell does data science now? It's all right. But that's why in the beginning it was all PhD people and master's people, because they had training in learning how to solve problems on their own, ask their own questions, do their own research, find answers. You get that in a PhD program, you should. And so that job requires that you go and do that exploratory, investigatory phase. And so I think when you're an undergrad, you go through this whole pipeline of do, 1 through 50 odd problems, do this, get a good grade. There's not as much exploring as in the graduate degrees. And so you have to kind of understand that that's part of the job too, or at least that's how you go forward in your career. Because remember, we're not getting a job, we're building a career here. So those are important things to think about and consider. And that's what makes you stand apart from your peers as well.
That's deep. Building a career, not a job.
Every time you talk, it's just, pure gold.
Well, that just is
This is why we should have been data scientists first.
Master at UCSD. So did those prepare you well for being a data scientist in the industry?
I might turn that off. I got an undergraduate degree in cognitive neuroscience. I graduated not hardly knowing how to program at all. I fell into data science because back in 2013-ish, it was the sexiest job of the 21st century, and who the hell knew what it was, but I got hired and they were like, do you want to be a data scientist? I was like, yeah, let's do it. And I was like, holy hell, I don't know what to do. So I had to go, I went to Lestat's coffee shop, 3 days a week from 8 p.m. to 3 or 4 in the morning, learning Python, going through machine learning textbooks, really trying to get those computational parts that I was missing up to speed. And then I went back for a graduate degree in data science at UCSD, which is like one of the first ones in the country in 2016. And that did a good job of preparing you in some ways and did a disservice to you in other ways. But that's a conversation over a beer, if you want to. No, but I mean, it winds up being this idea of tools and theory. And, data science is an extremely tool-dependent discipline, and at some point you have to learn those tools, but it's also, part and parcel with the theory as well. So in the beginning, a lot of these programs didn't really match up very well with the tooling required in the real world. And in some ways, no educational system really will, because it's hard to change classes and introduce new technology and tools, and this field moves so damn fast. So one of the most important things to get out of all this for you is not just learning what you learn in class, but learning how to learn. ChatGPT can give you the answer, but do you know how to learn that on your own? Because at some point you're going to be in the real world and you're not going to be able to come to one bus and be like, how do you do this? You're going to have to figure it out on your own. That's a huge part of data science. That's why data scientists also get paid so much money, because they can do these things. So definitely leave knowing that as well. That answers your question.
Yeah, no, thank you.
It ties it in.
So you teach DC 20 and 30. They are pretty difficult. So what's in your education career? What was the hardest class or extracurricular activity that you've done, and then maybe how has your experience in academia shaped on how you build classes just as DC 20?
What was my hardest experience? I remember that. So that was in grad school, when my advisor all of a sudden called me and said, Marina, we need a TA for a class, and I think you're going to be perfect match. Then I look at the class itself and I realize I never took it in my life, ever. I have no idea what is going on in that class. And I told him that, how can be a TA, make assignments, grade, have discussions, if I don't know what this class is all about? His reply was, you're going to figure it out. Go. Well, my salary depended on that. That was what I was living off, TA salary. So it was a class where I had to take it with students, sitting in the first row, asking questions, taking notes. No ChatGPT, no. Pretty much library, books, well, some internet, but not as much as nowadays. And then students and I had to go to my office, continue discussing what we just learned, because that was a very hard class. So they had to have a discussion based on that. So that was probably the hardest thing in my life, was to teach and learn at the same day. That's the lecture, I'm sitting as a student, and then at 5 p.m., here go, I'm teaching the same lecture back to you.
How are your experiences like shaped on how you teach?
Shaped, well, I survived. And I really think people learn from the mistakes. And they remember better when they went through something hard and they solved it, they accomplished it, they feel good about themselves. And they can apply that knowledge over and over and over again. So if I feel, if the class is easy, it's a coding class. If it's easy, that means your brain is not working. It's just too simple. So that's it. So in order to learn, you have to have a problem that you may get stuck for hours and hours and hours. And then slowly you're gonna get better, better, and better. And in order to get better, you have to repeat things over and over again. So you go to the gym, you cannot expect to be in shape in a week. You can sit in a corner for a month and watch everyone else to work out. You're not going to gain anything from watching other people. Or sometimes people ask, Marina, we need more examples during the class. I can give as many examples as you want during the lecture, but if you don't go back home and practice this exercise over and over and over again, your brain's just not going to get better. So coding is hard in general, and the more you do it, the easier it becomes. That's why I think I hear the lower diff are hard, but then upper diffs are easier. It's not because they're easier, it's because you guys get better through a lot of repetitions.
Yeah, I feel like that is truly reflected in DS3 some of the questions are extremely hard. I still remember it to this day.
Here you go.
I think we're almost out of time. So just one question for you three. So you guys are data science professors. Are you afraid that in the future, now with the application of AutoGPT and AGI, are you afraid that one day you'll lose your job to a robot?
Not even a little bit, no. Okay, another thing. So the point of coming to UCSD is not for the lectures themselves. It's not for the assignments themselves either, right? Like, all of that's publicly available. And I mean, different people have different opinions on this, but I think everything we do should be publicly available. You can go to dsc10.com and anyone can just look at the assignments and the lectures. Podcasts are also public. Anyone can look at it. The value of paying for a UCSD education is not the material itself, but it's things like this, right? Like if you were just watching Khan Academy videos at home, what Hot Ones event would
Maybe
you
we can
want to-
upload a Khan Academy too. Who knows?
We could, but they wouldn't be here asking their own questions, eating the wings with us, right? So, the value is coming to office hours, it's making friends in lecture, it's working on projects with partners, coming to tutors for help, again, doing things like this. And I think COVID showed us even more how important that is, right? Sure, lecture material can be conveyed however, but I don't think anyone liked COVID education more than the way things are currently running, right? And that's because the in-person component helps, and I don't know how realistic they're going to make robots, but they're not going to be humans anyways, right? So, yeah, no.
I think that depending on where we are on the curve, there's going to be some fundamental shift in AI in the next 3 to 5 years, or it's going to flatten out again for a while. But it's very entirely possible that large amounts of jobs that are repeatable or that have some sort of large query basis to it, like paralegal work, those kind of jobs are going to be automated away, and a lot of them will in the next 3 to 5 years. So I think there will be a fundamental shift in the way the world works in the next 3 to 5 years, very possible. And I don't think that things like data science or education are going to be felt in the same way. I think they're going to be enhanced through AI. I don't think they're going to be taken away. When you fundamentally look at how data science is done, there is a very loosely coupled, repeatable process that you map on to some problem domain. And that problem domain is exquisitely unique to the time, place, and challenges unique to the organization that you're part of. And that's very difficult to automate those kind of tasks. I think data scientists will become much more productive with these type of tools. I've tried using ChatGPT type stuff for my work, and if I have a particular thorny bug or something that I've missed, oftentimes I'll waste 40 minutes when it could have just been a simple, character problem like a misspelling or something. So being able to sometimes put a snippet of code in a ChatGPT and say, do you see any problems with this, can really help me avoid, a problem like that. So I think there will be like good enhancements to the workflow that data scientists have and educators. But I don't think that at the end of the day, these are kind of human problems too, and it's always nice to have this kind of like human feeling to it. I think the problem will be people who are not very good at their jobs, who don't learn new tools, don't try and interact and learn, the people who like doing the repeatable, mundane processes of jobs like education, data science, because there are jobs like that or tasks like that. Those tasks will be automated, those people will be automated away because they shouldn't have been there probably in the first place. Education, data science, those are careers that really force you to be on your toes, keep adapting, learning, struggling. That kind of stuff is very hard today to automate. 10 years from now, who knows? 20 years, who knows? But yeah, I think I think us three are there. You guys are. Just whenever I do use it, I always say please and thank you in ChatGPT. One day when it does take over, they're like, okay, he was very nice to us. So just make sure.
Say your please and thank you, guys.
Yeah, actually, I was surprised. Justin was doing something. I was next to him, and I saw that he was talking about whatever. I think he was playing for his presentation. And then he said, thank you, when the query was done. I thought he was joking. Wait, do you really say thank you to ChatGPT? He was that serious. Like, yeah, of course, we have to be polite. You don't know what's going on. My name is like...
Yeah.
Right, and they hear it for the second time, so... You have to be polite to ChatGPT.
It's not good because when it first came out, I was trying some questionable queries. I'm just gonna remember.
Have you guys watched Avengers: Age of Ultron by any chance? No. So like basically in that, right?
I fell asleep in the first event.
So it's like Tony Stark, Iron Man has like this like AI robot, and like he goes evil and like he gets a robot body. So maybe ChatGPT is gonna do that. Maybe it'll find a robot body and it'll spare the people that said please and thank you. But any last words of wisdoms for the audience, guys?
How much time do we have?
I don't know. How much time do you have?
Do you have any questions from the audience?
That's more fun.
Yeah.
Or do you-
Well, until 1:30. Oh, we have time. Okay. Any questions? We can open up questions.
It's not a lecture, you can ask questions. You can
But they
make...
can't ask questions on
We can
Yeah,
turn,
but
we can
they-
turn the recording off if the question is a little bit on edge.
So I inevitably want to go to computer vision work. I just wanted to see your guys' thoughts, with the advancement of computer vision becoming so rapidly, and be able to instantly identify people of certain interest, right? There's been a lot of use and a lot of paranoia about the use of computer vision within federal government groups. Do you guys have any thoughts or opinions on the use of computer vision when it comes to image identification and how it can lead to privacy concerns?
I don't think people realize how pervasive this already is. So if you have, does anyone here have global entry? Okay, anyways, it's when you travel internationally, when you come back, you don't have to wait in the long passport line, you can just walk through. And the last time I re-entered the US, I just, I didn't even look at a booth or anything. I just walked by the officer and they're like, have a good day, Suraj. And I'm like, how do they know who I was? Right? And so these global entry booths, you just look at them and they know everything about you. So this is already more pervasive than I think people think.
And in a place like America where it's already kind of there's laws to protect people, and somewhat compared to maybe perhaps other countries where those laws maybe don't currently exist. So the technology is not the hard part. It's always the business problem and working through the gooey hand wavy stuff. The computer part's easy. I mean, from PyTorch imports are.
And not even global entry, even the US Air Force, there's things like TSA PreCheck, there's a bunch of other...
PreCheck's different,
I think PreCheck has your thumbprint or something, but there are companies that scan your face and
Yeah, clear.
So it's everywhere.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Yeah, go ahead.
This is kind of a general question. Do you guys think, for large language model, or if in the future, the more advanced AI models, should they be owned by private companies, or because if you look at OpenAI, there isn't really much regulations or limitations on what they can do with their model, and obviously they have to bear legal consequences if stuff happens. But like in the future when this type of model got more advanced and with stuff like all the GPTs and stuff appearing, what do you think like the governments or legislative bodies should do?
That's above my pay grade.
Because it depends how you see democracy. I mean, if you're able to create something, one view would be what right is it of the government to take it from them or control it? Should the government even control it? And how do we even know? Is it right for a company to be force itself to open up its algorithms? It's to everyone to look at. I mean, intellectual property. And the problem isn't. I think you have a gut feeling about what's right. The problem usually isn't revolved around like there's this really insane thing and we need to make it open and transparent. It's about if you're able to do that, that changes the law and opens up the case against everybody. And it just can't be like, well, we're going to make this one special consideration for this one company because this thing's way too much. Well, what about the next company? What about all the other companies? Like, once you've changed this now, you open up the floodgates, and it's extremely hard when you have legislators in the government who, by and large, probably don't know very much about the way these things work, and they don't really necessarily, may not have the best advice too. And they're trying to make laws, and they're trying to push society in one direction without all the facts. And this can sometimes be, a very dangerous place to be. You have a bunch of business and legal people making decisions, but these decisions affect everybody, and they're decisions that are deeply assessed in technology. It's just a very complicated, difficult thing. But this is the world that all of you are inheriting. So, be well-rounded and, go take classes in law and ethics and, have that other side because it's really important and people are going to be looking to you. One day someone's going to ask you what you think, and you've got to think about how, you answer that because if you have knowledge in these areas, then your answer will really matter to people. And so it's really important to make sure that you're well-rounded in that regard. Hope that answers your question.
All right, we have time for one question, so last one.
How much Java does your daughter know?
She doesn't know much Java, but she already learns how to program. We have this cool toys called something bot, something, I don't know, but you can actually code it out. And she already writes simple code, so the thing can run and rotate and find obstacles and avoid them.
In real life.
I think that's something similar to Scratch,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah, that's something like that.
Do you think she would get the lowest score in DS3 or no?
Of course, she's 9.
You never know. She's your daughter.
She has the Marina genes.
Yeah.
I see.
If you have Harry Potter based questions, then there is a chance.